Recently I was searching online for cardstock templates and came across this article outlining how to build several orc vehicles. It was originally printed in April 1991 in White Dwarf issue 136. It's great to see Games Workshop encouraging this type of scratch building. The article even recommends using peanut butter lids as wheels because they already have a track-like texture. The templates are easy enough to follow, they're accurately labeled, and there are building instructions included for the Gob Smasher, the tank pictured at the beginning of the article. So reassure you that it doesn't really matter if all the templates are exactly the same size, it's an orc vehicle after all. There are also handy safety tips, such as cutting away from yourself with a knife, using a sharp blade, and asking for help when you're not sure what you're doing. I'm quite diligent about my safety and want to be able to weld for years to come, so I always wear an auto-darkening helmet when I'm welding, number 9 shades while I'm cutting, and a respirator. The article also mentions how an ingenious mech can combine templates to create new and amazing vehicles. And finally, the other templates. I tape a piece of wax paper over my screen so that I can begin to trace out the patterns. The keen-eyed viewer will notice that it says Brain Crusher above the template. That's going to come back and bite me in the ass. So I begin to trace the templates out, not too precisely with a magic marker. This is an orc vehicle after all. Once they're all traced out, I use a pair of airplane shears to cut them out, because that's what I had in my workshop. I couldn't find any scissors. Next I tape down the templates to some scrap steel and give it a quick spray paint. As I'm pulling up the templates, I'm building it in my mind, recreating all the patterns, and I realize something has gone wrong. I assumed the first set of templates built the vehicle pictured at the beginning of the article, but I didn't fully realize my mistake until I began assembly. And it looked nothing like that vehicle. So I swapped out my consumables on my plasma cutter and thought about what to do. First it's the copper electrode, then the ceramic swirl ring, and then the gas cone. Instead of going back to the article and reading and figuring out what vehicle this was, I just started building. I decided I wanted it to be a bit of an improvised tank with wagon wheels. I wanted to try something different for a paint job, so I misted it with a bit of orange spray paint. My plan was to overpaint it with orange and blue and then work subtractively with a wire brush to scrape away the edges. But first I had to try dangerously using the angle brush. After scraping it down, this is what I was left with. I quickly painted the panels white and drew out a grid pattern. I continued with the pen and this became a checkerboard. Next I added yellow to a few of the details to highlight the shapes and textures. My goal was to achieve that retro attention to detail and patterning as well as the garish colors. Because that's my preference and it helps to contrast with the roughness of the steel. I give it a light brushing this time to highlight the edges of each panel and chip the paint. The tank was too heavy for my turntable, so I had to push it along with a pen. I'm pleased with how this turned out, and it was kind of interesting to build. I'd still like to get those templates working, so I think I'll attempt this again. I should have done this before painting. Like and subscribe to see what I have coming up next for October. And check out my Instagram to see the rest of my metal art.